going from trainee to qualified and certified pest control technician in less time than you think. All on this edition of the Pest Geek Podcast. Pull out your hose and grab your can. We're about to integrate another Pest Geek Podcast. Hi, everybody. Frank Hernandez here, and welcome to the Pest Geek Podcast, bringing you the latest information on pests, products, and politics from today's leading industry sources to help you start, manage, and grow your pest control business. Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to another edition of the Pest Geek Podcast. I'm Frank Hernandez, your Pest Geek. So glad that you're here. I'm stoked this week. My family's back. They made it back safe from their trip to Guatemala. My wife's here. God, I've never been so disappointed to have so much quietness in my house, and it's been like you can hear a pin drop in here, and it's deafening silence, which is very unsettling after a while. But they're all back, and everything is good. We're just doing awesome right now. Still getting a lot of rain down here, but we're getting it done. Super stoked. We've landed some massive contracts that we've been working on for years now, trying to get these accounts, and it's part of our strategic sales strategy, which, by the way, I did a podcast on a strategic sales strategy, and you can listen to that. And we've got, right now, we're hitting, I believe this is number 79. There's a debate about whether it's number 79 or number 78, because when we first started out, I was numbering the podcast, and then I was numbering them in the podcast, and then we did in a week, we did 5 or 6 podcasts where we recorded them in a week, and we got them all out of sync. And so if you're listening to the first podcast we ever recorded, you're like, Frank's on drugs, sniffing too much of the bifenthrin because it doesn't line up. He says this is number 1 and this is number 2 and then number 3. And then I finally gave up on numbering and I just went with the name. And I was thinking of renumbering them, and I said, wow, this is a mess trying to renumber these podcasts. So we haven't done it. So if you do a search bar in the Pest Geek Podcast for strategic sales, you're going to find that podcast. I wanted to thank a bunch of people. Earl Reddit. He's the owner of Stingers, Hornets, Wasps, and Yellow Jacket Control and Wildlife Wranglers of Lakelands. Thank you for liking the podcast over the weekend. We really do appreciate you listening and following us on Facebook. Greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate that. Shannon Barnett of Shannon Pest Control also is following us on Twitter. We thank you so much for following us on those both mediums that we're really active on, and I really, really do appreciate it. I wanted to also ask you to you giving us a lot of ratings and reviews on Facebook. Also, don't forget about iTunes. If you're an iTunes listener, please give us a review on iTunes. If you're a Stitcher listener, also give us a review on Stitcher. That would greatly help. Most people don't understand that those reviews help us get our podcast to rank. And we want to be up top. We never want to be at the bottom. So help us out if you're a listener and you enjoy the podcast. And I know some of you have been listening from inception. I have regular communication with a lot of you on a regular basis, and I thank you for that. Also, don't forget to reach out to the National Pest Management Association, Pest World, to ask them to put the conference on iTunes. I mean, if you don't ask for stuff, you're not going to get it. So, you knock on a door and it shall open. Seek and you will find. Ask and it will be given unto you. You don't do those things. They have no clue that there's a need, and you need to create a need to create a product. So, let them know that you want that iTunes conference, and you will pay for it, and you're willing to pay for it, to get that whole conference. It's like 60 something things they're going to be teaching that they're recording, and man, will you benefit from something like that, not being able to travel and spend several $1,000s to go to a conference, to be able to get the information. So, if you want to join the conversation with us, 707-395-7378 is the number to call. 24/7, you can just leave a recorded message, ask a question, make a comment, whatever you feel is on your heart that day, go ahead and get that done. And I really appreciate it. If you want to be also on the podcast, hey, give us a call. Let us know. If you got something to share, we'd be glad to have you as a guest on the show. I get a lot of questions of people asking all the time in different forums, email questions to us, and they always want to know how they can get into the pest control business. Well, I created a little directory of every state's requirements for you to become a pest control business owner, become a pest control technician, get into the business, what you need. And I created a page with every single state. I think there's 2 missing that their website was down and I couldn't confirm the link on it. But you can, whatever state you're in, you can go to that. It's in our members section. So all you have to do is become a member and you get that free resource so that you can go ahead and just figure it out. If you're maybe thinking of moving from one state to another, what is going to be the requirement? Great resource there for free for you that you don't have to spend a ton of time doing research. You just go in, click the one you want, and it's there for you. So I also want to remind everybody that we're still trying to fund Ryan. And this is Private Ryan that we're trying to fund. So go ahead. He is a former military. And you know what I also noticed that the National Pest Management with Pest Vets, they've got involved, and I'm going to have a link to that. Check it out because it's a great opportunity to help veterans who are coming back to get them into a great career. They're great people that have given a lot to this country so that you can spray whatever you want to spray. And I think that they make great employees. So check that out. I'm going to put a link to that. But also the GoFundMe.com. There's a link to that if you want to go fund Ryan. Is a technician that is starting up and is looking to start his own business. And if you believe in crowdfunding, like I believe in crowdfunding, then support it. And it's that simple. Giving you the tech tip of the week. Are you tired of paying for aerosol and not having your own aerosol? And if you're not doing a lot of crack and crevice and $150, $200 crack and crevice unit is too much, I have a $20 solution for you. It's called the 16-ounce reusable, refillable, multi-purpose aerosol spray can and spray tip set. This is by True Power, $20. This is an aluminum can. You take a little air compressor and you fill it up and then you compress it to about 90 PSI and you have an instant aerosol can that you can reuse, for those, just little jobs that you're doing where you're just spraying a little bit of aerosol into an area and you don't have to keep making your own aerosol. You don't have to keep buying aerosol cans. You can just make your own with a lot of your products. So $20 solution to get it done. It's also great for crack and crevice if you're doing small jobs like a kitchen and and a couple of bathrooms. It's great. You just carry around a little Ryobi $25 handheld air compressor and charge that sucker up and you're ready to go. Check out the link on this podcast to that. And also in the book that I'm recommending this week is called Accidental Genius, Using Writing to Generate Your Best Ideas, Insight, and Content by Mark Levy. It's about free writing, guys. And this is a great book if you're looking to generate ideas for marketing, for your business, for a slogan, how to use free writing to release the inner intelligence that you have that's bound up. A lot of people try to do so much editing and perfecting, and they don't understand that the brain can't do 2 things at once. So check out that book. It's a fantastic book. I love that book, by Mark Levy, and called Accidental Genius. In our podcast, we made a promise. We did a lot of research. I spent 6 months researching of what the industry wanted, what the industry needed. Before I launched this podcast, we're into podcast number 78, 79. We're about 1 year and 3/4 in. And, we always are evaluating whether we're fulfilling the vision and the mission that we set out to do. And we have, and you can listen to our first podcast, which is, the intro to the podcast. You go to the first one and it's the intro. That's our vision and our mission for the podcast and what we set out to do. And I look back and I say, are we in line with our vision and our mission for this podcast? And we are, because we set out to create the best, most informed training and to get the most informed technician that we can, pest control operator, pest control business person that we can. And we have fulfilled that promise, I believe, in our podcast. And we're continuing to fulfill that promise and of our mission and our vision. Check out that first podcast so you will understand what we're really about. A lot of people don't understand. They listen to the last 5 episodes and they draw a conclusion about what we're about from that. And sometimes it doesn't, you can't, from gleaning from one podcast, you're not going to get a view, it's like being so close to the forest you can't see the trees kind of thing. You don't appreciate it sometimes. So I would encourage you to go look at our podcast, our vision and our mission. And we started out with the intro to the podcast, and you will see what we're really about and what we started. And it's about training. It's about information. It's, there's a lot of podcasts out there on pest control. A lot of people have started podcasts and they didn't finish. A lot of people got through a couple and didn't keep going. A lot of people started it because they're a distributor or a manufacturer and they wanted to, they want to promote their product. That's fine. But you've gone into 10, 15 podcasts and you haven't kept up. And, so you got to decide, when you start something, you do enough to, you have a conviction of why it is that you're doing something and why you start something. And then that will drive you to continue to do it. And my mission and my vision is to get the best, the sharpest trained people out there and get them to the right resources, get them to the right training, get them to the right programs to get them to be the best. So I wanted just to let you know where we're at, what we're doing, and what we're all about. In the news, we have a new tropical bedbug that's actually, it's not new, but it's made a resurgence here in South Florida. And it was found back in the 30s and 40s. And there had been no documentation of the species until recently. It's been over 60 years since this bedbug. It's called Cymex hemipterus, and it's made a resurgence here in South Florida. We find this in most tropical climates like South America, the Caribbean, but not really big in the north, and because it doesn't adapt real well. But in South Florida, it's made a resurgence. The Entomology Today released it. Check out the link. And also it was original study from the Florida entomologist. And you can find that on Bione, or bio1.org. And we have a link to that. So check those things out. Very vital if you're doing bedbug to stay up with what's happening and know the difference between one bedbug and another. And could that have to change some of your treatment protocols? So stay up with that. Getting to our main topic today, I wanted to talk about going from pest control trainee to qualified pest control and certified pest control technician. And what does it take to do something like this? A lot of people have a lot of erroneous ideas of what it takes to train somebody. And probably because they were either trained wrong or they weren't trained at all, and they had to figure it out on their own. And they figure because they had it hard, they should make life miserable and hard for everybody. Others have a lot of hangups and insecurities about training people right, because they don't want people to know everything, because, they're going to go out on their own, compete against them, start their own business. And basically, it's just a lack of maturity. That's a lack of being a real business owner, a lack of experience in actually managing, hiring, and training people, the right people. And it leads to those kind of mentalities. And in the business, I mean, if you've never really hired the right person, never trained the right person, you wouldn't know what that feels like, and you wouldn't know what it looks like. It's understandable. So what I want to do is cover what it takes to get this done. It's not easy. It's not simple. It's not simplistic, but it is rather simple. It's getting a right program in place and having a systematic training program that you follow for everybody, regardless of whether they come from, whether they have 0 experience or 20 years of experience, and that they have to submit themselves to this type of training if they want to excel in your organization. And you have to decide what excelling is required, or what does that mean? Because it will mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Example, you want to grow a large organization. You want to be a $10 million company. Well, it takes a lot different mentality, different experience, and different training to go from 0 to 10 million than it does to go from 0 to 150, 300,000, even $1 million in sales. At one point, the complexity, the things that are required, the changes that are required, the attitude that is required, the aptitude that it has to all evolve and change in order to achieve that. You can't get that done you can't become a $10 million company with the same attitude and the same mentality that you were when you were a $100,000 company. And it requires change, and most people don't like change. I am a kind of person that I thrive on constant change. I get seriously bored. I'm a person that I get seriously bored very, very quickly. I mean, if you put me on a route and expect me to be there for 4 years, you're kidding yourself. You're shooting yourself in the head with me, because if I don't see an opportunity to expand, grow, move, do something different, I'm the guy you want to put if you want to head up a new department. And then once that's done and that's established and that's running, 2, 3, 4 years, and it becomes now a maintenance issue, you need to replace me with somebody else. Because I will get very, very bored, very, very impatient. I will be looking for something new to do, and I will start wreaking havoc on all your programs. Or I will find a company and move and change jobs for another company that wants change. So I enjoy being in that type of environment where I enjoy the startup process. I enjoy getting things running. I enjoy going through the heartache and pain and suffering of learning to do things. Most people don't. And you got to know who it is that you're hiring. Do you want a person that is constantly going to want to go through challenges? Or are you hiring a person that you need to be stable there for the next 10 years? If you don't have clear definition of what it is that you want and what that person fits, then you will end up either replacing people constantly, or you will have the wrong people in the wrong place and they will be just miserable and unhappy. If you need a maintenance technician to do the same thing over and over and over and over, then you need to hire a guy that's going to want to do that over and over and over for the next 10 years and not expect to make it, to make a big contribution or to be, be promoted or expect to be raised higher than this. I mean, you make it clear that, hey, you're going to start here, and guess what? You're going to cap out here. You can't expect any more income from doing the same thing. It's kind of like the union worker at a machine shop that gets paid $25 an hour to turn the same screw year after year. Just because of tenure and because, contract negotiations, the guy feels he's entitled to a 3% raise every year for turning the same screw. I mean, a lot of industries can't support that. A lot of businesses cannot support that. So you have to know who it is that you want, what it is that you want, how big you want to get, and have that clear expectation up front for that technician, that employee you're going to hire, to say, listen, here's where we are. And if you feel like you want to grow and do this, that, understand that I'm not the company for you. I want to do this. I want to remain a $1 million company. I want to remain a $500,000. I want a technician. I don't want a technician. I want a guy who is a driller. I want a guy who's a drencher. I want a guy who does this and this only, and that's what you'll do for as long as you're here, so that you set the expectation up front. The other thing is, with the person that's thinking of going to work for somebody, you need to ask those questions. A lot of the times you are out of a job. You need to pay the bills. You feel that you just need to take the first job that is offered to you, and you take the first opportunity because you're not going to wait around for the next guy or hold out for something better, and you take the first job, and then only to find out that you're never going to get ahead in that company. You're never going to grow. You're never going to be able to do anything. It's not going to fulfill any of your needs, wants, or desires in life. You're just going to be what you got hired to be, and is a warm body, because they needed a warm body and you needed a place to work. And you need to decide up front who you want to work for. What do you want to be? Not everybody wants to be an entomologist and have a 4-year degree and then go out and try to work in the pest control industry. You have to know that. And a lot of people don't know what they want and don't know what they need. And they make everybody's life miserable. I mean, I compare it to a marriage. You get married to somebody that doesn't know what they want in life, doesn't know what they need, and they're expecting you to fulfill every desire and dream that they have, but they don't know what that is. And then at some point during the marriage, I need to go find myself. Really? You never knew yourself. I think you need to start making some quality decisions in your life. If you want to get into the pest control business, it's a wonderful career. It's a wonderful industry. But your attitude and your aptitude have to be right for the position you're filling. If you're an entrepreneur, then, you need to know that you're an entrepreneur, that you're not an employee, that you're not a franchisee, that you're not qualified to do a lot of things that are required to be done. So in the last episode, we talked about our 40-hour training. And we're just going to go through a hypothetical scenario of how you can become either the technician you want to become, the best, or you take a person who you can turn into a best pest control technician, a trainer, a manager, a field manager. You want to open up a branch, you want to start expanding and open up branches. What is it going to take for you to be able to get somebody through at least the competency area? There are a lot of things you have to teach along the way. Customer service skills, how to manage people, how to lead people, how to properly compensate people, how to motivate them, how to encourage them. Those are things you learn along the way, but we're talking about the competencies of pest control. And you start them out as a trainee, a technician trainee. And what that means is you're going to get 40 hours of initial training, and you're going to start out somewhere around 10, bucks an hour, 12 bucks an hour, $8 an hour, whatever it is that you feel that your market is paying for somebody with no experience to come in and start at the bottom. And you're going to work them from the bottom all the way to the top. And you start out with your 40 hours, whatever your state requires for you to do initial training. But I think 40 hours of training their first week is vital, and you can listen to the last podcast on that. And you're basically putting them through about a month to 90 days, depending on what you need. Like I said, if all you need is a guy to drill holes, and you teach him how to do that and how to measure and how to put a chalk line down, and how to figure out where things are, and you can do that in a week, do you really need to put them through 90 days of training before you put them on a job and you leave them there? There are a lot of jobs that when I first started my technician trainee we do a lot of drenching for plants. And I didn't need to teach him for 90 days how to be on a property and drench every single tree because we have a protocol. So I teach the protocol. It's kind of like going through McDonald's or going through a Subway program where, listen, it's this, then this, then this, then this. This is what you do. I'm not interested in you learning pest identification at this point. I'm not interested in you learning how to manage the customer. I don't need you to do these. I need you to do these three things. And I need you to do these three things with exactitude, with precision, with perfection. This is what I need you to do. And I could leave him there because that project was going to take 2 to 3 hours, 4 hours. Leave him there and say, when you're done, I've done it before. I've done it 10 times. It's done by a clock. It's done exactly. It's going to take you an hour and 45 minutes to do this job. I will be back in an hour and 45 minutes. Because in that time, I could go knock on doors in the neighborhood. I can talk to people. I can follow up on problems. I can do other things. So do I need a technician trainee to do how many things? If I need to get a guy on my truck to say, listen, I need you to unwind this hose. This is the way you unwind a hose. This is the way you pull it around a property. This is the way you do it. And every job we get off on, this is what you're going to do for the next week. I want to make sure by the time I'm ready and I'm mixing and I've talked to the client and I get outside, that hose is around the property. And this is what we're going to do for a week. I mean, it has to be intentional. It has to be protocoled, written down in simple steps that people can start learning. So you got a technician trainee. How long is it going to take for him to become, let's say, a technician 1, where you're now teaching him how to do initial services? How long is it going to take for him to be able to follow the protocols for your initial services? Our protocols are very simple. We have a franchise and we have a franchise mentality, and we had to do it in order to get somebody up and running right away. And with this, we use the 80-20 rule. This is what you're going to run up against 80% of the time. We're not going to teach on the exceptions because we manage the exceptions. We teach on what they're actually going to run up against. These are the 5 ants. These are the 2 roaches that you're going to see. These are the top main 10 insects you're going to run into. On a daily basis, if you take how many on a weekly basis run into more than the top 10 insects that you always run into? So why are you teaching on 100,000 insects that they're going to learn through their lifetime when in their market, in their prey, they're going to run into top 10 insects? Teach on the top 10. Teach on the rules, not the exception. See, you want to be a perfectionist and manage every single exception that's every question. What if the customer asks me this? What if the customer, you have a list of the top 10 questions that the customer is ever going to ask. And it's usually the top 3 questions cover the last 10. They're the same. If you take the 80-20 rule and you apply it to everything you have, Pareto's principle, the 80-20 rule, and you apply it, you will find out that you don't run into more than those things on a daily basis. If you run into something that is unfamiliar, unknown, guess what? You pick up the phone. We have cameras that you can take a picture of it and send it. A guy would be in the field and say, hey, I was just doing a treatment and I've never seen this bug and I saw it on a plant. What the heck is it? And I would say, that's a beneficial insect. Oh, that's, we need to look at that. That's Sri Lankan weevil. But since you're doing that treatment, it doesn't matter. It's going to take care of it. I mean, if you're doing root drench treatments, you're going to take just care about every major hemipteropest that's going to chew that plant. Do you really need to train on everything to get this guy going, to get this guy profitable? And what I'm saying is that there's 2 extents to this. One is, we can't teach anything in a short. He's going to ride with me for a year before I let him loose on his own, which is going to stifle your growth. Or 2 is you're not going to give him any training and you're just going to set him on his own and sink or swim for him. I think the balance is somewhere in the middle to finding a program that's going to do it. I think, to me, for my money, I'm going to go with Purdue. And I'm going to go with Purdue, and we're going to do 2 things. We're going to teach the head knowledge, and we're going to teach the practical. We're going to get whatever you're learning that day, how can you apply it in your work? See, if you do both, you will have a superior technician very, very quickly. And what we've done is that we have a system that is self-guided training. If you come to me as a trainee, you're going to stay a trainee until you pass that first course. And they have great courses that I've outlined here, and I put some links to it. Introduction to Industrial and Urban IPM. Understand, we're an IPM company, and we're going to teach IPM to all our people. So you come to me and you say, okay, I'm a trainee. When do I get my first raise? And when do I get my first promotion? I said, that's going to be up to you. You decide when you're going to get that raise and when you're going to get your promotion. And here's the way you're going to do it. You pass this course called Introduction to Industrial IPM and Urban IPM. And then you take the Advanced Industrial and Urban IPM. And I will give you, for every one of those courses you pass, I will give you $1 raise and a promotion to a technician, where I start training you now to start doing this and that. And that's going to be your promotion. What's the cost on that course? Well, the initial course is $399 with the books and shipping and everything. That book is used for about every other course, so you really only need to buy the book once. When you finish that course, I'm going to do 3 things for you. You're going to pay for that course. I'm going to reimburse you for it. I'm going to give you a raise, and I'm going to give you a promotion to your title, and you're going to learn to do some new things. But you're not getting that done, and you're not getting promoted until you get that part done. So that's up to you. No, but I already know how to pull out the hose, and I already know how to go around, and I already know how to spray, and I already know how to mix. And I already, and he thinks he's a pest control technician after 90 days because he can do all those things that he's seen me do. And in the meantime, he doesn't see how I know how to identify a problem on a plant. When I drive up to a garden, I say, ooh, that plant doesn't look right. That shrub doesn't look right. That lawn doesn't look right. It's got this, it's got that, and I can immediately make a diagnosis because I have 10 years of experience. He thinks it's, if I learn how to mix and I learn how to do and I learn how to pull that hose just right, that's going to get me a raise and a promotion. No, that just keeps making you the average 85% of people in the industry. Do you want to be the 85% or do you want to be in the top 15? You see, that doesn't make you a technician. And I had guys who thought, well, I'm doing the same thing as you and I've been doing it now for, and I deserve a raise. And I said, no, you don't know anything as you should know it. Do you know this? Can you tell me what deficiency that is? Is that a magnesium deficiency or is that a potassium deficiency? He doesn't know. Is that an aphid or is that a millibug? He doesn't know. What disease is that? Is that anthracnose? He doesn't know. See, he thinks that being a technician is learning how to mix, and this is the first thing everybody wants to teach everybody. So you pass those 2 courses, and this is discussed, by the way, in the hiring process. Here's what you're going to have to get to get promoted. So right away, the person says, oh, look, I'm 45. I've been a technician for 10 years. I'm not going to go through any of that training, and I don't have time for that. I just need a job, and I'm going to ride this out for the next, 10 years. And you know now what you got on your hands, that guy's never going to rise. And what's going to happen? He's going to feel that his cost and his way of living, he can't make it because you're not going to give him a raise. And he's going to say, I'm never going to move up in this company. I might as well. And then you end up getting rid of dead weight that you have that you should have never had because he's going to be dead weight. He's not going to move up. He's not going to help anybody move up. He just wants to collect a check and go home. And if you need people to collect the check and go home, then you hire those people because you do need them sometimes. I'm not saying that that's not wrong. I'm saying that's what it is. If you have a tent crew and that guy's going to be taking tents up and taking tents down, and that's all he's going to be doing all day and putting clips, how much training do you really need to give that guy? And if he wants to be that for the rest of his life, that's on him. You got to decide what you're going to do. So you take the industrial IPM course and the advanced industrial IPM course, and you got a $500 investment in that technician, and he's got a 2-hour raise. He feels he's learning something. He's moving up. His effort and his work is justified in the effort he puts in because now that's what he's getting every single time. How do you get to a technician 2? Well, you got to do the same thing. Well, let's take the bedbug mini course. And now you learn how to do bedbugs. And now I can go out and sell bedbug jobs because I've got a guy who knows how to do bedbugs. You see? And you get another $1 an hour raise. So now you started out at 10, now you're at $13 an hour, but you're doing initial services and you're doing clean outs in restaurants and you're doing bed bugs and you're moving up. Well, what's next for me? Well, hey, how about becoming a food plant specialist where we understand what happens in food plants and in food processing venues? Take that course. It's $278. You get another $1 an hour raise. How long is this going to take? Probably a year, because those courses are not short. These are 3 to 6 month courses. So this isn't going to happen overnight. This isn't like he just started with you and in 3 weeks he's doing all this. No, it's a strategic training program that allows them to move up as they can, as they're able, at their own pace. If they can do it faster, great. If they can do it slower, great. But it's on them. It's not on you. You can't say, well, I've been here now 6 months and I haven't gotten a raise. I says, you didn't do any of the things that you have to do to get a raise. So you got to have things in writing of what they need to, how are you going to promote people? How are you going to, educate them? How are you going to, compensate them if they don't know the rules? Is it just on tenure? Is it because I'm the boss's nephew What does it take? I mean, do I got to date the boss's daughter? What is it going to take for me to get the bonus? If it's not clear, then they don't know. Hey, how about doing IPM in public buildings and landscapes? Because we can go after some lead buildings, and we have a technician that can do it if you can get that certification. So if you do it, I'll get you that type of business. You see, guys, it's about what is it going to take to get it done. So the digital courses, if you're a technician and you're not getting trained, there's a directory there for all those courses that you can take yourself, pay for them yourself. And then go work for a company that'll appreciate it. It's that simple. Go interview for a better company. Don't sit there dwelling on it. If you lose a guy because you're not taking care of him and you're not meeting their needs, you should let them go. And you should be happy for them because you're not meeting their needs. Let them go. Fire them and say, look, I'm going to fire you because I'm not meeting your needs. And I'm going to recommend you. I'm writing you a letter of recommendation. I think you'd be a better fit for this company. Go apply there. I'll talk to the owner. I'll get you a job. I'll help you out any way I can. But you're not going to be a fit here. You're miserable. I'm miserable. Nobody's happy. I'd rather put you in a place where you're going to be happy. It's about being a leader. So what does it take to become a certified operator? That's next. I mean, you've already gone through all the processes. You want to open up a new branch. You want to expand. You need a certified operator. Promote from within. Don't hire a guy that has the paperwork already. Get somebody that can do it from within. In a lot of states, it's certified operator, certified pest control operator, certified applicator, commercial applicator, pest control, qualified applicator, license holder, and a qualified person. I mean, it's all over the board in every state. And it all depends on what it is in your state. Whatever it is, get them certified. Have a certified person on staff. Look, you guys got to be smart about selling. If you have certified operators on staff that can lead, manage teams, that can go out there and talk to customers who are better educated, help you close more business. It's a big difference between you saying, I got 3 certified operators in our company and our competition doesn't. And this is why we're better. This is why, because we have more competent people than anybody else in this market. You see, that's a long-term strategy. That doesn't happen. We have a long-term strategy, things we're going to accomplish in the next 3 to 5 years. And it's starting to happen, but we set those goals in place. We had those programs in place. We work towards that. Doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen by chance either. Serendipity is great. It's happened sometimes to me, but that's not a plan. Hope is not a strategy. Hope is not a strategy. What's next after they become a certified operator to run a branch? Get them to be an ace. Get them to be an ace. When you can say to your client and go to a meeting with a hotel chain, a restaurant chain, and say, listen, we've got the highest trained staff to get this done. We're better than this company in these 5 areas. That will get you the growth that you need. Become an ACE. An ACE is an associate certified entomologist or master technician. You want those. If you don't want those guys around you, you're an insecure person who is afraid, who needs to really grow up and figure out how to become a real manager, a real business owner, and stop holding people back because of your own insecurities. There's the requirements. This is a great program if you've never had anybody who is doesn't have a bachelor's in entomology. It's the next best thing. If you got people that are never going to go to college, they're never going to get an MBA, they're not that kind of person, but you can get them the education. You can get them the training and say, look, I'm going to help you be a better person. I want you to be better. I wouldn't talk to any one of these guys any different than if it was my brother, my sister, my son, and saying, look, I understand you're not going to go to college. I understand, but there's no excuse for you being ignorant. There's There's no excuse for you not getting this training, getting this education, raising yourself up, helping them rise up to what their potential is. That's what being a real leader is about. It's about helping people achieve their potential. Not everyone wants to be a business owner. Not everyone wants to roll with those punches. Sometimes they're left. Everybody that I see, that I talk to, why did you become a pest control operator? Why did you start your own business? Is because none of these needs were being met at the companies they were with, and they got tired. They got tired of going from company to company to company for the same BS. And they finally said, I had to do it. It was the only way I could survive. I was left with no option. The company bought out, and then I couldn't get hired, and the market was bad, and the economy might. Can you imagine getting fired in 1999? I'm sorry, in 2009, when the economy took a dump? That's the year I started the business. Talk about struggling. So if you can get these people trained, certified, have them become managers, have them running things, why would they leave? If you compensate them well, if you're giving them a challenge, if you're meeting their needs, why would they leave? The only reason they would leave is because they are entrepreneurs. They were always entrepreneurs and you didn't see it. Or they feel that they're not being appreciated. That's really it. There's not a whole lot more to it. So, check it out. Check out the ACE program. I have links to all of this. If you want to become an ACE, if you're a certified operator, that is my next step to become an ACE. I decided to become a certified horticultural specialist before I became an ACE because it was just more in line with my education and my business model. But now I'm going to become an ACE. That's going to be my next step, is to get that certification because I have to set the example. And if I can do it, I'm not the sharpest knife in the shed. I'm not particularly brilliant. If I can do it, you can do it. Anybody can do it. And we set the example for those that we want to lead in the industry. Folks, I've had a blast. I'm having a blast. I hope that you guys are enjoying this, are enjoying the journey together that we're making through this process. And until next time, hey, you have a great one. Thank you for listening to the Pest Geek Podcast. If you have enjoyed the Pest Geek Podcast, please give us a rating, write a review, or subscribe to the channel. You can join the Pest Geek Society by visiting pestgeekpodcast.com. Thank you for listening. See you next time.